speaking as L. Ron Hubbard, he says, I fulfill the prophecy of the Antichrist. He basically says, I am the Antichrist. It is. It is. And I don't know if you've heard this analogy of Scientology and the Matrix.
I don't think I have.
So Scientologists, they believe that this is a prison planet. The best way to keep someone in a prison is to make them not realize they're in a prison and to make them maybe a little happy with where they are so they never try to escape. So Scientology believes that everyone on planet Earth was brought here from one of the other planets in the Galactic Federation and was dumped here, okay? They had their spirit memories wiped and were dumped here to believe that they were just bodies that evolved here on Earth and that even humanity evolving the world's major religions is part of what we've been programmed to do to keep us from trying to figure out how to get off this planet. So the fact that, let's just take Christianity, that you believe you live a lifetime and then you either go to heaven or hell. Well, if that's what you believe, you're not trying to figure out how to get off the planet.
Right.
It's not relevant to your worldview. And L. Ron Hubbard basically said all the world's major religions are just fake stories that our alien psychiatrist, alien imprisoners have programmed us as a civilization to evolve over time to keep the population calm and stupid about the real circumstances. And that Scientology is what unplugs you from the Matrix and you realize what the real deal is, and that only Scientology can give you back all your memories of all your previous lives, to erase the amnesia of all your past, and have you regain your native godlike abilities. So in this analogy, you saw the Matrix, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you got Morpheus. L. Ron Hubbard would be Morpheus. Or perhaps now that's David Miscavige. But Neo is Tom Cruise.
Oh, come on. Why do we have to give him the coolest character? He's already cool.
Okay, but Cypher...
Minus the Scientology.
But in this thing, remember, the guys who get unplugged from the Matrix, their life sucks now. Because reality is shit. You're living in this post-apocalyptic world. You're eating slop. But you're not a prisoner. That's how Scientologists see themselves. Okay, so they see that they're so virtuous by working all these hours, giving up all their money, sending their children into the Sea Org. That's the price of unplugging everyone from the Matrix.
Yeah.
Now, you remember in that movie, Cypher was the worst of all of them because he already tasted what it was like to be unplugged from the Matrix, and he asked to be plugged back in. So he screwed everybody. That's how Scientologists view people who leave Scientology. That's why Scientologists see people who've left Scientology as being worse than people who've never been in.
My issue with that, though, and again, like, I wasn't in it, so like I can't really put my mind there, right? But it's not like in the Matrix they literally plugged in and they went to a different world. In a sense, right? Like, just,
but they didn't, and not a physical world.
Not a physical world, exactly. But meaning it was a total. That's my point. It's like a totally different experience. Whereas in Scientology, you just show up to a building that's blue with like a fucking sign, and they're like, "Hey, welcome." You don't go into a different world. You're still getting Domino's pizza ordered.
That's a really good distinction. You're right. They've convinced Scientologists that there's these two completely different worlds, while being in the same world.
Yes.
So what they've convinced themselves is that we've learned our true spiritual nature. That's how we're unplugged. We know who we really are. We know we're not a body. We know we don't live one lifetime. We know about the Galactic Federation. We know about the Fifth Invader Force. Which, by the way, this gets really funny. Fun and funny. So
it already is.
L. Ron Hubbard, and this is in materials most people would not have even who've done OT8 be familiar with, because when he first came out with OT8, there was a first version, and people got so pissed off with it that they changed it. Okay, but in the first version, he basically said, the Bible, when it talks about the second coming of Christ, which I make mistakes when I start talking about Christianity because I'm no religious scholar. Okay, so if you guys know anything about this, please jump in. When Christ comes back, it has something to do with Armageddon and basically the world essentially ends, right? But the people who are saved basically take over the but Christ coming back, that's actually the bad aliens, the Fifth Invader Force coming back to reinvade Earth. But the story's been flipped on its head in the Bible so that all the Christians will welcome the second invasion. Okay. Right?
Convenient.
Yes.
Very convenient.
And so in this story, L. Ron Hubbard says that's why, speaking as L. Ron Hubbard, he says, I fulfill the prophecy of the Antichrist. He basically says, I am the Antichrist.
He says that.
In the first version of OT8. But you have to understand.
But he's like, the Antichrist is good.
But what does it mean, though, when someone who doesn't believe in God or Jesus or Christ or the Antichrist, what does it mean when he says, I'm the Antichrist? What he meant was, the Bible is just a work of fiction to trick people into welcoming the second alien invasion. I keep calling it the second alien invasion, but when the fifth invader force comes back.
Okay. Same shit to me.
Right.
I'm just saying.
And so, but this story that I'm telling you, other than being absolutely hilarious, is an example of how Scientologists very much look down on people. They're not someone who's like, all religious people are good. They very much look down on religious folks. They don't really consider themselves to be religious. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in a Jesus or a devil or an angel or a heaven or a hell or anything. They only call themselves a religion for the tax benefits. And I guess there is an argument that could be made, and that if you're talking, because Scientologists do sincerely believe that we are all immortal spiritual beings with native godlike potentials, and only Scientology auditing can get you back to that state. We can argue whether is that religious. Religious people get offended when you say it's religious because they associate religious with God.
Yes.
The truth is, Scientology does not believe in a God, but you could probably make an argument that if they do truly believe that you're an immortal spiritual being and only Scientology auditing can get you back to where you used to be,
I think religion, I think you're right. Like, it usually has to do with God. That's how we think about it. But beyond, on a broader level, it has to do with meaning. And so I can see how this is described as filling the void of meaning.
Yes.
You know? But that's so, wow.
So especially if Scientologists believe that their sort of Matrix story is the one true story, and all of the other religious stories are bullshit and are actually part of the Matrix, Scientologists would scoff at you if you're like, oh, we're not a religion? We're the only religion. We're the only
one.
Real religion.
No other real one.
Yeah. Everything else is bullshit.
That's like, that explains, though, like, because L. Ron Hubbard is such a fascinating guy to me. Obviously, he wrote this pulp fiction in a way. He would write, what was it, like 1 penny a word or something like that?
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true.
Whatever it was, like, he had to write things really fast, like seemingly as if he was on mushrooms the whole time.
Never did a second draft, you hear?
Never did a second draft. Just crazy shit on the page. Wrote tens of thousands of pages. I'll give him that. But, like, he sees himself as, and this seems to be a pattern across pretty much all cults that have ever existed, someone comes along and says, no, I know. I've been told. I've been given all the information. It's come down from on high. I'm the one who has to give it to you. You have to listen to it in the format with which I give it to you. And then people go, seems right, and then they follow it.
That is exactly what he did. Now, you would think, right, since that's the play, that there'd be some story for, well, wait a second. Well, where'd you get your special knowledge?
Don't worry about it.
I swear to God, he does not say where he got the special knowledge. In fact, he doesn't even...
I got it at a tavern in Edison.
He doesn't even have like a golden tablet story like the Mormons do. The closest he gets to explaining anything about this is he says he was Buddha. And I risk saying these words incorrectly because I'm not a religious scholar, but there is the state in Buddhism that you're trying to achieve, I believe, other than nirvana, is like you're called like a bodhi or a bodhi. I always get it wrong. L. Ron Hubbard basically says that as Buddha, I came to raise mankind up to a level, and I thought I had achieved that with bodhi or bodhi. But then after I dropped that body, I was embarrassed to discover that state was only temporary. Okay, we needed to take it to a whole nother level. We needed a permanent state.
I just picture this like in South Park when they had Al Gore be like, member pick. Like, that's L. Ron Hubbard. Like, not Buddha, member pick.
So Scientology's state of clear is supposed to be the permanent version of whatever Bodhi is in Buddhism. So, but you're like, okay, but I don't know if the Buddha ever explained where he got his knowledge from, because again, not a religious scholar. I grew up in a cult, but he literally in the body of Scientology never says, "This is how I came to obtain all this new knowledge, and you can't." Yeah. In fact, he actually says the opposite. He says, "We will not speculate as to how I came to rise above the reactive mind." And I'm thinking, I think that's what we should be speculating about. But for all the smart people that get into Scientology and weren't just born into it, they end up. It's just a fascinating study in how smart people can gradually be brought to a point where they believe all these things. Even if I do think a lot of these smart people who join Scientology, I think there are things that they question along the way. They just convince themselves why those questions don't matter enough right now.
Yes.
And maybe we'll cross that bridge later, but later never comes.
Yes. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.